Órale, cholo choque, los tres chingones, boxing shots, all the chingones y chingonas. And here we got Teofimo Lopez. Órale, homie. So let's talk about Teofimo just for a second. So in the beginning of the year, I spoke with Teofimo Sr., and he said that Teo is going to fight 3 times this year, right? And this is before he had his first fight in 2024, right? So he's already had 2 fights. Now there's a ESPN card that is made for the end of September in New York, and he's not going to be a part of it. Plenty of people were thinking that that is where he was going to fight, but no, he's not part of that card. Xander Zayas is fighting on that card, but Teo is not part of that card. Now, Teo has kind of made his bones, man, fighting on Heisman night. So I'm still thinking he might fight there, but let's go ahead and let's just talk about him just for a second. So he fought Jermaine Ortiz in the beginning of the year, right? Um, and didn't look that good. And Jermaine Ortiz, the only reason people even knew who he was is because he gave Lomachenko a pretty good fight. That was it. Outside of that, nobody really knew who Jermaine Ortiz was. And then Teo goes and fights Steve Claggett, which I don't know who has heard of Steve Claggett before. I had never heard of him. And even then, Teo did not look good. Teofimo, to me, in my opinion, is one of those guys that fights to the level of his competition. When he needs to be great, he shows up and he fights great. When he doesn't need to be great, he lowers himself down and fights to the level of his competition. When he fought against Josh Taylor, he looked great. Why? Because he had to be great. When he had to fight Vasily Lomachenko, he fought great. Why? Because he had to look great. When he fought, Steve Claggett, he didn't look great. Why? Because he didn't have to be great. So he is one of those guys, again, in my opinion, that fights to the level of his competition. Here's the thing. Fighting 3 times in a year, yeah, that's busy. That's good. But who are you going to fight though, man? Who's your last fight going to be this year? Because some people are even thinking that he's going to sit out for the rest of the year because they were really thinking that he was going to be on that top rank September card. And I was kind of thinking like, nah, I don't think so. Because if they're thinking about fighting 3 times this year, he's probably going to wait till Heisman night. I mean, that's what he's known for. So I'm not too surprised that he's not fighting the September card. But dog, you fought Jermaine Ortiz, you fought Steve Claggett. Who are you gonna fight, man? Because if you're gonna fight another Steve Claggett type of fighter, I mean, dog, this is gonna be a weak year for you. Now, we all know what's going on, man, where he's over there wanting to fight Crawford. He's calling out Crawford. He wants Crawford. Look, dog, Crawford is at 154 now. So unless Teofimo Lopez is talking about moving up to 154, I don't see this fight happening. Now, Crawford has his own battles, right? Crawford looks like he could be frozen out from a lot of these big fights. The Canelo fight is off the table. That's not going to happen anymore. Virgil Ortiz, we'll see what happens with that. We will see what happens with that. Looks like Virgil wants to go after the winner of Spence and Fundora. And Spence and Fundora, that fight's not even made yet. So we'll see what happens with that. I would love to see Ortiz and Crawford, and we'll see what happens with Ortiz. He took a pretty good beating in that fight. But what is next for Teofimo Lopez? Who should he fight? He said, or his dad said, 3 times this year. And I do believe he gets one more fight in this year. Who should that be? Again, he keeps calling out Crawford. There's that video out there where you see Teo Sr. talking to Canelo, talking about that they're the ones that want Crawford. If Canelo could please step aside so they could be the ones to fight Crawford. And Canelo's all like, I never asked for that fight. I never brought up Crawford's name. and they're like, oh yeah, so we could get that fight. Dog, is Teofimo planning on moving up to 154? At the very least, is Teofimo planning on moving up to 150, I'm sorry, 147 and saying, okay, Crawford, meet me at 147. Maybe Crawford does it due to lack of options. Maybe. I doubt it. But what are you going to do other than just call him out to make that fight happen? You got to make some movidas, homie. But who do you guys want to see Teofimo realistically? Realistically, a fight that can actually truly happen. Who do you guys want to see Teofimo step into the ring with for his final fight of 2024? Because of right now, he stepped in there with Jermaine Ortiz and Steve Claggett. And he's a champion. He's a world champion fighting these dudes, dog. All right, cool. 3 fights, staying busy. You're having 2 fights, Jermaine Ortiz, Steve Claggett. That's really nothing to boast about. You're going to have to finish with somebody strong. Who could have finished off the year strong with where it's like, okay, cool. Now we're talking. Firme, make that fight happen. Who do you guys want to see Teofimo step into the ring with to finish off 2024? Cholo Choco, los tres chingones boxing. Shout out to chingonas y chingones. Catch you guys on next round.